Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I spent that Friday evening helping my old friend Victor set up for the soft opening of his restaurant. We'd known each other since college, and I'd been there through every step of his dream. That night felt like a celebration of how far he'd come. My wife, Mia, had promised to join us later. She texted me around 7, "Running late, coming with Natalie and the girls. Save us a good table." I smiled at first. Mia always loved an entrance. She liked being seen, the attention, the moment everyone's head turned. I'd gotten used to that side of her. While moving crates near the back hallway, I heard laughter coming from Victor's small office. I recognized Mia's voice instantly. Curiosity pulled me closer. Not suspicion, just instinct. The door was half open. Inside, Mia and her friend Natalie were huddled over a phone, voices low but sharp. "Okay," Natalie said. "We'll go live around 9. You'll tell him you need space, and I'll film from the bar. It'll look spontaneous." Mia giggled nervously. "Are you sure this won't make me look terrible?" "Trust me," Natalie replied. "People eat this stuff up. You'll look brave, like you're standing up for yourself. If he reacts emotionally, even better. It'll show how much he loves you." Mia sighed. "He's been distant lately. I just want him to feel something again." I froze. They were planning to stage a breakup, on camera, for views. "Don't worry," Natalie continued. "It's just a scene. He'll freak out. Everyone will see how much he cares, and you two will make up after." Instant content. I stood there, heart steady but cold. Every word cut, but what struck me most was Mia's excitement. Like this was a game, not our marriage. I could have walked in, confronted her, demanded an explanation. But instead, I stepped back, quietly. If Mia wanted a show, she would get one, just not the one she expected. I didn't say a word to Victor about what I'd overheard, not yet. He was too focused, too proud of the evening to worry about anything else. Still, I made one quiet request. "Hey," I told him, keeping my tone casual. "Make sure the ceiling mics are recording tonight. You know, for security. A lot of people here." He nodded without hesitation. "Already running." "Why?" "Just in case something unexpected happens." I left it there. No need for details. By 8 o'clock, the place was packed. And there I stood, playing my part, knowing what was coming. She walked in a few minutes later, dressed to impress, hair perfect, red lipstick, a shimmer that drew eyes without her even trying. She looked incredible, and for a moment, I almost forgot what she'd planned. But then I saw Natalie behind her, holding her phone like it was part of her hand. "Damian," Mia called out brightly, kissing me on the cheek. "You look so serious. Loosen up. It's a party." "Just making sure everything runs smoothly," I said. My voice stayed even, unreadable. Victor came by to hug her, then hurried off to greet more guests. Meanwhile, Natalie leaned toward Mia and whispered something that made them both laugh. They looked around the room, checking the light, the angles. I didn't need to guess why. So I did what I'd planned. I smiled. I chatted. I poured drinks. On the outside, I looked calm and polite. But every word I spoke, every movement I made, was deliberate, controlled. Mia thought she was setting the stage for her big performance. I was setting mine too. By 9, the place was buzzing. Victor had just made his welcome speech, his voice carrying over the chatter. "To new beginnings," he said, raising a glass. Everyone cheered. It was the perfect moment. Exactly what Mia and Natalie had planned for. From across the room, I caught Natalie giving Mia a subtle nod. The signal. She angled her phone, pretending to scroll, but I could see the camera light blink once. Recording. Mia stepped forward, microphone in hand, her smile just a little too bright. "Hey everyone," she said, laughing nervously. "Before we toast again, I just want to say something personal." Victor looked surprised but didn't stop her. The crowd quieted. "I've been doing a lot of thinking lately," she began, her voice trembling in the way that sounds rehearsed. "Sometimes love changes, and sometimes people forget how to appreciate each other." A few murmurs floated through the crowd. I could feel eyes turning toward me. Mia took a deep breath, playing her part perfectly. "Damian," she said, looking straight at me, "I think we should take a break. Maybe some space will help us find what we've lost." You could hear a pin drop. For a second, I let the silence hang. Natalie's camera was aimed right at us now. I could almost hear her breathing, waiting for me to explode, plead, or break down, something raw and dramatic that would make their little video go viral. Instead, I set my glass down. If that's what you need, I said evenly, then I accept. A few gasps rippled through the room. Mia blinked, caught completely off guard. Wait, what? I kept my tone steady. You said you want space. I respect that. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Someone coughed. Natalie lowered her phone slightly, confusion flickering across her face. Mia's voice cracked. You're not even going to ask why. No, I said quietly. You've already told me everything I need to know. Then I smiled. Polite, calm, final. For the first time all night, Mia looked like the one performing for the wrong audience. The silence in the restaurant stretched like a tight rope. Everyone waited for something. An argument, a confession, maybe even a dramatic plea. But I didn't give them any of it. Mia stood frozen, mic in hand, her confidence draining second by second. Damian, she said, forcing a shaky laugh, you're just going to stand there? That's it? That's it, I replied simply. Natalie, still clutching her phone, tried to save the moment. Come on, Damian, say something. Don't you care? I turned my head slowly toward her. I care, I said. Just not about putting my private life on display. A few guests shifted in their seats. Victor came up behind the counter, confusion all over his face. Everything okay here? He asked quietly. I nodded. Yeah, just a misunderstanding. Then I took the mic from Mia's trembling hand, set it down on the nearest table, and said clearly, Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. The food's excellent. And I started walking toward the exit. I didn't look back, but I could feel every pair of eyes following me. The woman who wanted an audience suddenly had one, but not for the reason she'd imagined. Behind me, I heard someone whisper, Was that real? And another voice murmur, That was cold. And with that, I walked out. The laughter that had filled the room earlier was gone. Only an uneasy hush remained. I didn't know if anyone was still recording, but it didn't matter. The show was over. And for the first time in a long while, I felt completely in control of my own story. I hadn't even made it outside before I heard the sharp click of heels behind me. Damian, Mia's voice cracked. Wait, what is wrong with you? You can't just walk away like that. I stopped near the entrance, hand on the door, but didn't turn around. You said you wanted a break. I'm giving you one. Her tone shifted from irritation to panic. You're being cold. It was supposed to be... She stopped herself, realizing too late that others had followed us. Natalie came up fast, still gripping her phone. Don't twist this, she said. It was just supposed to be... A show? I finished for her, turning to face them. Natalie froze. Mia's mouth fell open. The nearby guests, half curious and half concerned, paused by the door. Victor had followed too, brows furrowed. I took a breath, calm and even. You might as well stop recording, Natalie. I already know what this was about. Victor's voice broke the tension. What's going on? I looked at him. I overheard them earlier, planning this whole scene. The fake breakup, the camera, the timing. It wasn't spontaneous. Mia's face drained of color. Damian, that's not... It's true, I said, cutting her off. You said you wanted to make me feel something again. You wanted views, reactions, sympathy. You were never planning a real talk. Natalie slowly lowered her phone. Victor exhaled, shaking his head. You're telling me this was all planned? Someone behind him muttered, That's messed up. Mia stammered. It wasn't like that. I just thought... That I'd beg, I said. Cry? Make a scene? She had no answer. I turned to Victor. You said your security mics were on, right? He nodded grimly. Every word. The last bit of defense left Mia's eyes. Natalie backed away, mumbling something about bad timing before disappearing. Every trace of amusement had turned to quiet disbelief. The show she wanted had finally gone live, and she was the only one left on stage. Outside, the cool air hit me like relief after a long storm. I walked toward the parking lot, but Mia caught up, tears streaking her makeup. Damian, please, she begged. It wasn't supposed to go this way. Natalie said it would just be harmless content, something fun. I turned, calm but firm. You call humiliating your husband in public fun? She shook her head quickly. No, I didn't mean it like that. I just wanted to remind you how much I matter to you. You've been so distant lately, and I thought, That embarrassing me in front of everyone would fix that? I finished. If you needed to talk, you could have just talked. Natalie hovered a few steps behind, pretending to check her phone. I glanced at her once, and she left without a word. Mia reached for my arm. I messed up, I know. But can we just go home and talk about this privately? Please. I stepped back. No, Mia. You made it public. Let's not pretend this was an accident. Her face crumbled. So that's it? You're just going to walk away? Yes, I said quietly. Because you turned our marriage into a show. I handed her the spare key I'd removed earlier. You can take the car. I'll get my things tomorrow. Her hand shook as she took it. I didn't mean to hurt you, she whispered. I know, I said. You just didn't think it through. That night, I checked into a hotel. I didn't text, didn't call, didn't post anything. The fewer words, the clearer the message. Over the next few days, my phone filled with messages, apologies, long voice notes, even a delivery of flowers. First came guilt, then excuses, then anger, and finally more apologies. When I replied, it was short. I'm filing for divorce. It's done. The silence that followed was louder than any argument we'd ever had. And for the first time in years, I slept without waiting for the next crisis to start. The divorce went through faster than either of us expected. I didn't drag it out. No yelling, no lawyers fighting over furniture. I just signed the papers, wished her peace, and walked away. A month later, word spread. People who had been at the restaurant started talking, and soon the story reached everyone in our circle. Some defended her at first, saying it was just a mistake. But once the recording from Victor's security audio surfaced, there was nothing left to defend. Mia's reputation collapsed almost overnight. Her job in marketing relied on trust and image, and both disappeared. Clients pulled back. Co-workers stopped inviting her to meetings. The friends who had encouraged her, Natalie especially, distanced themselves once things turned ugly. Natalie deleted the live footage, posted some vague apology online, then pretended it never happened. Mia sent me one last message about a month after the divorce was final. I don't blame you for hating me. I just wish I could undo it. I didn't hate her. I just didn't recognize her anymore. Victor told me later that she'd tried coming by the restaurant to apologize. He didn't let her in. She looked empty, he said, like someone who finally realized the cost of her own show. From what I heard, she moved out of our apartment not long after. Her cousin helped her relocate closer to her parents. The social media pages she used to update daily went silent. The woman who once needed an audience now lived without one. I didn't celebrate her downfall. There was no satisfaction in it, only a quiet confirmation that I'd made the right choice. Sometimes I'd catch myself remembering small, good moments, the way she used to laugh at my terrible cooking, or how she'd fall asleep during movies halfway through. But those memories didn't hurt anymore. They just reminded me how much can change when pride replaces love. By the time spring came around, Mia was gone from my life completely. A chapter closed, a lesson that had finally stopped bleeding. 6 months passed before I realized how quiet peace could feel. The noise that had once filled my life, arguments, tension, constant performance, was gone. I got back to my routine, my friends, and the simple things I'd forgotten mattered. One afternoon, Victor called. You should come by, he said. There's someone you should meet. She's handling the new supplier contracts. That's how I met Rhea. She was nothing like Mia. Soft-spoken but sure of herself, the kind of person who didn't talk just to be heard. She asked questions, listened, and never looked past people to find a camera. Over time, we started meeting for coffee after her work visits. No rush, no games, just easy conversation. When I eventually told her what had happened with Mia, she didn't gasp or pity me. She just shook her head slowly. Love doesn't need an audience, she said simply. Something about that sentence settled everything inside me. A few weeks later, Victor hosted another dinner, smaller this time, private. Near the end of the night, he handed me the mic. Say something, man. You were too quiet last time. Everyone laughed, and for a moment, I thought about that night months ago. The silence, the tension, the walkout. But this time, I felt no bitterness, only gratitude. I smiled and said, to peace, to honesty, and to never turning real life into a performance. The group raised their glasses. Afterward, I stepped outside with Rhea. You ever think about her? She asked softly. Sometimes, I said, but not the way I used to. The night she tested my love, she ended up testing my self-respect instead. I passed, and I don't need a retake. Rhea smiled. Then you already learned the hardest part. As we walked toward the parking lot, I caught our reflection in the restaurant window. Simple, steady, real. No cameras, no audience, just two people who understood that love isn't proved through pain or performance. It's shown quietly, every day when no one's watching. And that silence, the one Mia had filled with noise, finally felt like home. Thank you for watching.